You've heard it 100 times. 95% of traders fail. But no one tells you why. They'll blame psychology, risk management, discipline. They'll throw charts and strategies at you like confetti. But beneath all of that, buried deep, is a lie almost every new trader believes. And it's this lie that silently wrecks trading journeys before they've even begun. This video isn't about entry signals, indicators, or some secret pattern. It's about something more important. Something that determines whether you survive this game or become just another blown account. If you're waking up early to catch moves, staying up late glued to the charts, skipping meals, refreshing your trading app every 3 minutes, wondering how you're losing despite doing everything right, then this is for you. Because that frustration, that endless loop of win, trade, lose, trade, self-doubt, it's not because you're dumb. It's not because you're unlucky. It's because you've been set up, from day one, to chase a version of trading that doesn't exist. In the next few minutes, we're going to pull back the curtain and expose the first lie that destroys 95% of traders. You'll see how it takes root, how it hijacks your thinking, and how it quietly turns your edge into your enemy. By the end of this, you won't just see the trap, you'll know exactly how to step out of it. If you're serious about trading for the long haul, hit that like button, subscribe, and settle in. This might be the most honest conversation about trading you've ever heard. Chapter 1. The first whisper. You didn't come to trading for the charts. Not really. You came for what they promised you. Freedom. It was a whisper at first, barely a thought. The idea that maybe, just maybe, this was your way out. Out of the routine, out of the 9-to-5 trap. Out of the ceiling that sat just above your ambition. You saw the candlesticks and indicators, the flickering green and red, but what really pulled you in was the dream underneath it all. The possibility that, with just a laptop and some skill, you could build something powerful, personal, permanent. The first whisper told you this. You're different. You can figure this out. It wasn't loud. It didn't have to be. It just sat there in your chest, humming quietly like a song only you could hear. You told yourself you'd take it seriously. You weren't naive. You'd study, work hard, manage risk. You weren't chasing get-rich-quick schemes. You were here to learn the craft. And so you began. At first, it was thrilling. Every little breakthrough felt like a revelation. You learned about support and resistance. You discovered candlestick patterns, engulfing bars, dojis, hammers. You watched hours of videos, read forums late into the night, took notes, practiced on demo accounts. It felt like you were piecing together a puzzle. And when you placed your first real trade, the rush was undeniable. You saw the chart move in your favor, and your heart pounded. The position turned green, and your confidence surged. You closed the trade for a small profit and sat back, a half smile on your face. That was it. That was the hook. You didn't know it yet, but in that moment, the first lie had already taken hold. It whispered, "You've got this. You're naturally good at this. You're going to make it." That first win wasn't about money. It was about identity. It confirmed something you wanted to believe, that you were sharp, capable, and meant for more than the ordinary. From that moment on, the market became your mirror. Every green trade felt like a nod from the universe. Every win was a pat on the back. You weren't just learning a skill, You were proving something. Soon, the whisper grew louder. You started thinking in bigger terms. What if this became your full-time gig? What if, with enough wins stacked up, you could walk away from the grind completely? You began running the numbers in your head. If you could make 1% a day, compound it, trade full-time within a year, the path looked so clean, so logical. The market gave you just enough early wins to keep you hooked. A good streak here, a lucky news trade there. You told yourself it wasn't luck. You saw the pattern. You anticipated the move. The lie kept whispering, "You're special. The others fail because they're impulsive, greedy, dumb, but you're built for this." You weren't gambling. You were optimizing. But underneath it all, something else was forming. Every time you won, the whisper praised you. But every time you lost, even a small amount, it stung more than it should have. Not because of the money, but because it challenged the identity the lie had created. You didn't just lose a trade. You lost face. Still, you didn't slow down. You told yourself this was part of the learning curve. You needed screen time. You needed to pay your dues. And when friends or family asked how it was going, you smiled. Getting better every day, you'd say, even when you weren't. Because you had to believe the lie. If it wasn't true, if you weren't naturally good at this, then what did that mean? That you were just another wannabe? Another statistic? The pain of that thought was worse than any drawdown, so you ignored it. You told yourself, I just need a better strategy. This indicator works. I just used it wrong. The market was manipulated today. You didn't realize it yet, but the game had already changed. It wasn't about the charts anymore. It was about protecting the story you'd built around yourself. And that story began with the lie. You can beat the market. Quickly, cleanly, because you're different. That lie is what destroyed 95% of traders before you, and if you're not careful, it will destroy you too. Because the market doesn't reward intelligence, it rewards discipline. It doesn't care about your ambition, it cares about your behavior. And it doesn't respond to belief, it responds to probability. You think you're chasing a dream, but really, you're being chased by an idea that was never yours to begin with. That idea, the one that whispered in your ear during your first win, wasn't truth. It was bait. You're drawing this time. You're still used. And you swallowed it whole. But you're not doomed. Not yet. You still have time to wake up, to see the trap for what it is, to peel back the fantasy and face the uncomfortable truth. Because this journey, if you're brave enough to continue, isn't about proving you're smart. It's about proving you're honest. With yourself, with your process, with the market. And honesty starts here, right at the point where the first lie took root. Chapter 2. The lie takes root. You start to feel it, this strange sense of certainty that wasn't there in the beginning. It sneaks in, not as arrogance, but as confidence that feels well-earned. After all, you've done the hours. You've been watching the markets, memorizing patterns, reviewing trades. You've taken losses, sure, but you've also seen green days. And those green days shine far brighter in your memory than the red ones. The lie isn't loud. That's what makes it dangerous. It doesn't scream that you're a genius. It gently assures you that you're on the path. That if you just keep doing what you're doing, if you trade with focus, follow your setups, stay alert, you'll win. But that's the thing. You're not just trading setups anymore, you're trading belief. You start expecting results from the market. Not because the probabilities align, but because you've put in the work. You think that effort guarantees outcome, that your time on the screen should translate to predictable reward. You're not saying it out loud, but inside you're beginning to believe you're in control. You trust your setups too much. You see confirmation where there is only noise. You interpret patterns not objectively, but optimistically. You enter trades without a stop loss, just this once. You hold through drawdown not because the plan says so, but because you're convinced it'll come back. You're no longer testing the market, you're assuming it will comply. Because the lie has taken root. The lie that the market rewards skill and you are skilled. The lie that you're almost there. The lie that others fail because they don't work as hard as you. You're not greedy, not yet, but you're dangerously confident. The red flags are there, but they don't register. You don't notice how often you're breaking your rules. You don't see the risk creeping up in your position size. You don't track your losing trades with the same curiosity as your winning ones. You tell yourself you're still learning, but the learning has stopped. Now you're just defending your approach. Each loss feels more like an insult than information. You take it personally. You tweak your system, you add indicators, you remove others. You don't call it chasing, you call it refinement. But let's be honest, you're reacting. You're trying to force the market to bend to your strategy instead of adjusting your thinking to fit the market's reality. There's a moment, small, forgettable, when you hesitate before entering a trade. Your gut says it's not clean, but you're already committed to the story in your head. You see a weak candle form and ignore it. You're not wrong, you're just early, you tell yourself. The trade goes against you, fast. You hold it. Then you add more. You're not doubling down, you're improving your entry. You're lying, and worse, you believe it. The loss balloons, your heart thuds, your screen blurs from staring too hard. You close it finally, red, angry, ashamed. Then you open your chart again, right away. Maybe another setup's forming. Maybe you can get it back. The lie doesn't feel like a lie anymore, it feels like survival, because if you let go of it, what are you left with? Admitting that you don't have an edge? Admitting that your recent wins were more luck than skill? Admitting that this whole story, that you're destined to be a successful trader, might not be true? That's unbearable. So you don't admit it, you push forward, you join trading communities and surround yourself with others who echo the same language. Stick to your setup, trust the process, don't let the market shake you out. You cling to those phrases like life rafts, because the alternative is uncertainty, and you don't want uncertainty, you want affirmation. But here's the thing about the market. It doesn't care what you want. It doesn't reward intelligence, it doesn't reward effort, it rewards behavior. And your behavior is becoming unhinged from reality. You're risking more to make back what you lost. You're holding trades longer than your plan allows. You're ignoring data that contradicts your assumptions. You say you're trading a system, but really you're trading your need to be right. That's what the lie does. It convinces you that being wrong is unacceptable, that losing trades mean you're failing, not that you're normal. So you start avoiding the truth. You skip journaling on red days. You only backtest setups that already match your bias. You brag when you win and go silent when you lose. You think you're evolving. You're not. You're regressing into delusion. The lie has become your trading coach, your inner voice, your compass, but it's not guiding you toward mastery, it's guiding you toward collapse, because once the lie takes root, it poisons everything, your mindset, your risk, your process, your patience. And you won't notice until it's too late, until your account's down 30%, until you've blown through your emergency fund, until you're up at 3 a.m. watching the charts, hoping for a miracle candle to bring you back to break even. And when that moment comes, you won't blame the lie. You'll blame the market. You'll blame manipulation. You'll blame volatility, the news, the brokers, the spreads. But deep down, you'll know it was you. It was always you because you believed it. That first whisper, you can beat the market with skill alone. That seed has now grown into a full-blown tree, and its roots are wrapped around your entire identity. And now it's not just about winning trades, it's about saving face, protecting your pride, and denying what's already obvious, that you've been lied to. And the voice telling the lie was your own. Chapter 3. First punch, fast denial. It comes faster than you expect. The first real punch. Not the little losses, not the red trades you wrote off as part of the plan. This one is different. This one stings. This one shakes you. It starts like any other trade. You've spotted the setup. You feel sharp. Maybe it's a breakout. Maybe it's a reversal. You've seen it before. The price lines up, the volume looks right, and you click. Enter. Done. You lean back, not relaxed exactly, but confident. You've done this enough times now. This one should work. Then the candle flicks against you. A quick jab. No problem. You've seen that before. You hold. Another drop. Deeper. Still no panic. Just irritation. You watch it wiggle, hesitate, then fall. Harder. Faster. Like it knows you're watching. Now the red grows. Now your pulse is rising. You start refreshing your feed. Maybe it's news. Maybe the market is reacting to something absurd. A tweet, a rate leak, a fat finger. You don't even check your stop. You move it without thinking. Just a little breathing room. The chart keeps falling. Your mind starts screaming. This doesn't make sense. It shouldn't be doing this. But it is. Because this is the punch. And it's not just your account taking it. Your ego is too. You sit there, staring, frozen, clicking between time frames like a ritual that might save you. The 15-minute chart shows a wick forming, maybe a bounce. You zoom out, you zoom in, you squint, you pray. You're no longer trading. You're just reacting. You're trapped in the belief that it must come back. It always has before. The lie, that beautiful, seductive lie, told you that skill equals success, that if you were smart and strategic, you'd win. So what is this? This isn't supposed to happen to smart traders. This must be a fluke. The trade drops further. You finally exit, either because of margin pressure or emotional exhaustion. You take the loss. You shut the laptop. You walk away. But you don't accept it. You start building your narrative. I followed my rules. It just didn't work. The market was irrational. It was a news spike. Next time I'll check the calendar first. You tell yourself you did everything right. You tell yourself it's not your fault. Because admitting it's your fault would mean more than just acknowledging the mistake. It would mean questioning the entire foundation. The belief that you could master the market with enough knowledge, intuition, and strategy. That's what's really at risk now. But you're not ready to let that go. So instead, and when you find someone who says they caught the short instead, you skim past them. You don't want to see that. You want to stay inside your bubble where you're still the up-and-coming success story. You don't learn from the loss. You defend yourself from it. That's the danger of the first punch. It doesn't just hurt. It exposes you. It reveals how fragile your belief system really is. It shows you that maybe you don't have an edge, and worst of all, it reveals that you care more about being right than being real. This is the moment most traders fail, without even knowing it. Not because they lost money, but because they lost trust in their own growth process. Instead of seeing the loss as feedback, they treat it like betrayal. You start looking for revenge, quietly, instinctively. The next time you see a setup, you enter it a little faster. You increase your size, not a lot, just enough to feel like you're regaining control. You call it confidence, but it's not. It's retaliation. You're trying to erase the pain of the last trade. You're not trading to win. You're trading to feel okay again. And the market knows. It always knows. It senses when you've stopped respecting risk, when you've abandoned your edge, when you're no longer acting from clarity, but compulsion. And it punishes you. Because the market is the most honest place you'll ever enter. It doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care what you believe. It doesn't even care how much you want it. It reflects your psychology, without mercy. The first big loss isn't just a test of your system. It's a test of your self-awareness. Will you face the truth that your setup didn't fail? You did. That you moved your stop. That you ignored the trend. That you entered because you wanted to trade, not because the edge was clear. Most traders flunk this test, not because they lack skill, but because they refuse to take responsibility. They'd rather defend the lie than admit the truth. And so they keep falling, deeper, faster, until they're out of capital, out of confidence, out of excuses. But you're not there yet. You've been hit. You've been shaken. But you're still here. You have a choice. You can treat this loss like an outlier, or like a signal. You can keep pretending you're on the verge of mastery, or you can admit you're still at the beginning. You can cling to the lie, or start searching for the truth. It won't feel good. The truth never does at first. It humbles you. It strips away the fantasy. But it's the only thing that gives you a real chance. Because until you admit what this loss really means, you're not trading. You're hiding. Behind pride. Behind stories. Behind potential. And that hiding is what destroys 95% of traders. Chapter 4. Revenge Ritual. You don't call it revenge. Not out loud. That would sound immature, like something a gambler would say. But deep inside, behind the rationalizations and strategy talk, that's exactly what it is. You're not trying to trade anymore. You're trying to get it back. Get back the money. Get back your confidence. Get back your dignity. You don't even realize it's happening. That's how most traders slip into it, without knowing. It starts with a thought that feels logical. I just need to recover that last loss. Simple, reasonable. You're not going on tilt. You're being responsible, right? But that one thought unspools into something far darker. You start scanning charts with more urgency. You tighten your grip on the mouse. You speed up. You're no longer waiting for your A-plus setups. You're not reading the market. You're watching it, like a predator stalks prey. Every movement feels personal now. And when the next setup appears, you don't hesitate. You want to be back in. You want to correct what just happened. The market hurt you, and now you're going to hurt it back. You increase your size. Just a little. Just enough to recover faster. But you know what this is. You can feel the edge of recklessness creeping into your body. Your breath is shallower. Your pulse is faster. You're emotional, even if you tell yourself you're not. You enter the trade. And here's the cruel trick. Sometimes it works. Sometimes the market does exactly what you want, and the trade closes green. And for a moment you feel that rush, that snap back of control. You lean back and nod. That's better. That's more like it. But something inside you just shifted. Something important, something dangerous. Because now you're not just reinforcing a system, you're reinforcing a pattern. The pattern is simple. Get hurt, seek revenge, feel better. It's psychological, addictive, and it has nothing to do with trading logic. You don't notice, but you've already started building a cycle, one where your emotions dictate your entries. one where pain demands action, not patience. You tell yourself you're still being disciplined, that you're only taking valid trades. But deep down, you know the truth. You're not trading to win. You're trading to recover, to repair your ego, to erase the red. And the lie is still there, fueling all of this. It keeps whispering, "You're better than this. You know what you're doing. That loss wasn't supposed to happen." And because you believe the lie, you can't accept the loss. Because to accept it would mean admitting something you're not ready to say. But maybe your edge isn't as solid as you thought. That maybe your emotions are in control. And instead of stepping back, you press forward. You widen stops. You hold longer. You look at lower time frames, hoping to find confirmation for what you already want to do. You begin changing your rules mid-trade. Your journal goes untouched. Your process breaks down. All that's left is a single driving force. I need to get it back. That force owns you now. You wake up thinking about trades. You go to bed running numbers in your head. You skip meals. You cancel plans. You tell yourself it's focus, but it's obsession. You start doing mental math constantly. If I risk 3% on this next trade and it works, I'll be back to break even. If I win 3 in a row, I can reset. If I catch one big move, everything changes. You're not managing risk, you're bargaining with hope. And the market doesn't negotiate. It doesn't care about your need to break even. It doesn't know what you lost. It doesn't even know you exist. And that realization, that brutal, impersonal truth, only fuels your frustration. You begin to hate the market. Hate it for being wild, unpredictable, irrational. But what you're really angry at is yourself. Because some part of you knows you're off course. You've slipped into emotional trading. You've abandoned your edge, your process, your clarity. But you can't stop. Because stopping would mean facing what you've done. Stopping would mean accepting the damage. Stopping would mean admitting that the lie is a lie. And so the cycle continues. You lose. You seek revenge. You lose again. You double down. You tell yourself you're almost there. You tell yourself this is just a rough patch. You tell yourself you have to keep going. You've come too far to quit now. But this isn't a strategy. This is self-destruction disguised as perseverance. It's not grit. It's denial. You're not trading anymore. You're reacting. You're not managing risk. You're gambling with emotion. You're not looking for opportunity. You're chasing ghosts. And every step deeper into the cycle takes you further from what matters: clarity, objectivity, patience, control. Because those things don't exist in revenge. They die the moment the lie takes over. And the only way out is honesty. You have to call it what it is. You have to name the cycle. You have to step away. You have to stop before the next loss isn't just financial, but psychological. Because revenge trading isn't a phase. It's a trap. And for most, it's the end. But not for you. Not if you choose to see it, to name it, to stop lying to yourself. You don't need to get it back. You need to get your mind back. You need to reclaim your process. You need to remember why you started. Not for glory, not for speed, not to be right, but to master something real. And mastery begins with control. Control of your rules, control of your emotions, control of your impulses. This is the hard part, the humbling part, but it's also where real... Chapter 5. The Certainty Addiction. You didn't start out addicted to certainty. In the beginning, you accepted that trading was unpredictable. You expected losses, expected drawdowns. You told yourself that probabilities were part of the game. But then the doubt crept in. It started with those moments you couldn't explain, when the market did something irrational and your strategy failed, when the perfect setup broke down, when the revenge trades piled up, when you realized that no matter how hard you worked, you still couldn't control the outcome. And that uncertainty, it wasn't just uncomfortable, it was unbearable. You thought trading was a puzzle. Now it feels like chaos. So you start searching. You don't know what you're looking for exactly. You just know something feels broken. Like your edge has vanished. Like your strategies are flawed. Like maybe you missed something important all along. You start watching new videos, not the same ones you watched at the start. These are more advanced, more technical, more next level. You look for secrets, systems, signals, something to quiet the noise in your head. One day it's order blocks, the next it's volume profiles, then smart money concepts, then market structure, algorithmic footprints, prop firm psychology. Every new term feels like it holds the missing answer. Every new strategy promises clarity. You're not learning anymore. You're hunting. Hunting for certainty. You start downloading more indicators. Your charts, once clean and simple, now look like control panels from a spaceship. RSI, MACD, Bollinger Bands, VWAP, Fibonacci levels, heat maps, liquidity zones, harmonic patterns. You layer them until your screen glows like a Christmas tree. It doesn't help. In fact, it makes things worse. Now you have too much input, too many signals. Every trade becomes a debate inside your head. MACD says long, but RSI is overbought. Structure is bullish, but this candle's bearish. Should I wait for confirmation, or will I miss the move? The irony hits you. The more tools you use, the less confident you feel. But still, you can't stop. Because each new tool comes with hope. Hope that you'll finally eliminate the losses. Hope that you'll finally understand the market fully. Hope that if you just find the right system, the market will become predictable. That's what you want now. Not opportunity, but certainty. You're not trading edges anymore. You're chasing guarantees. And that's not trading. That's fantasy. You've forgotten what an edge really is. A small, repeatable advantage over time. An edge doesn't promise wins. It promises probabilities. An edge includes losses. It includes drawdowns. It includes not knowing. But that isn't enough for you anymore. The lie has mutated. It no longer whispers, "You're skilled." Now it hisses, "You should never lose." And that idea, it infects everything. You start second-guessing yourself constantly. You sit in front of the chart, paralyzed, waiting for confirmation that never comes. You miss trades because you're afraid of being wrong. You overanalyze until your setups are gone. You go from overtrading to undertrading to hesitating to forcing again, all within the same session. You don't trust anything, not your system, not the market, not yourself. And in that mistrust, you keep seeking more knowledge. More backtests, more courses, more mentors, more prop firms, more PDFs, podcasts, Discord groups, alpha newsletters. You're drowning in information. You're starving for direction. And all of it is rooted in one dangerous belief. If I can just find the perfect system, I'll win every time. You don't say it out loud. You might not even admit it to yourself. But that's what your behavior is revealing. Because you've shifted from trading to obsessing, from managing risk to chasing perfection, from respecting probability to demanding certainty. And it's killing your performance. Because trading isn't about certainty, it's about confidence under uncertainty. The best traders in the world lose every single week. They don't chase the holy grail, they embrace the randomness. They don't need to be right, they need to execute. You've forgotten that. Or maybe you never truly understood it, because somewhere along the way, you confused emotional safety with skill. You thought, if I'm good enough, I'll stop losing. If I study hard enough, the fear will disappear. If I master the market, I'll never feel unsure again. But that's the real lie. The market doesn't reward mastery with certainty. It rewards mastery with composure. Not because you always win, but because you keep showing up the same way, regardless of outcome. Certainty isn't found in tools, it's found in discipline. And right now, your discipline is gone, because your focus has shifted from execution to escape. You're not trying to trade well, you're trying to feel better. You're using tools as emotional crutches. using research as a distraction, using strategies as talismans to protect yourself from the feeling of risk. And here's the truth no one wants to say. If you need to be certain, you will fail. Because certainty is a myth. The market doesn't offer certainty, it offers opportunity. And you only capture that opportunity if you can tolerate not knowing. So stop chasing clarity. Stop downloading another indicator. Stop tweaking your strategy after every loss. And start building confidence through action. Small risk, clean setups, consistent journaling. Win or lose, same process, again and again and again. Until you don't need to be certain. Until you can trade with discomfort. Until the outcome stops defining your worth. That's when the addiction breaks. Not by finding the perfect setup, but by realizing you never needed it. You just needed to accept that trading is a game of edges, not certainties. Chapter 6. The Ego Hijack. You think you're trading the market. You're not. You're trading your identity. It doesn't happen all at once. It creeps in, slowly, silently, trade by trade, day by day, until you realize the charts don't just reflect price action anymore. They reflect your self-worth. Every win means you're good, smart, sharp. Every loss feels like personal failure. Not just a dent in your capital, but in your sense of self. Your ego has hijacked your trading. And now, everything's distorted. You might still talk about setups and risk-reward and technical analysis. You might still tweet things like, follow your plan and trust the process. But under the surface, your trades aren't just trades anymore. They're judgments. Every position you take is a test of who you are. And that pressure, it warps everything. It's not just money on the line. It's pride. It starts subtly. You get defensive about losing trades. You brush them off. You stop journaling them in detail. They're exceptions. Fake-outs. Manipulations. Anything but real, honest errors. You stop talking openly about your mistakes, even in communities that once helped you. You present a curated version of your journey. Wins, breakthroughs, lessons that make you sound wise. But the pain, the doubt, the fear, that stays hidden. You've created a split, the trader you want to be, and the trader you actually are. And now you're performing, not for others, but for yourself. The ego needs to protect the story, that you're getting closer, that you're better than before, that you're not like those traders who blow up and disappear. And so, even as your P&L slips, even as you break your rules, even as doubt gnaws at your gut, you hold the mask. You don't step back. You push harder. You increase your size, because a big win would fix things. You chase trades, because being right will restore the narrative. You stop taking certain losses, because stopping out feels like admitting weakness. You even stop learning, not consciously, but the curiosity fades. You no longer ask, what can I improve? Instead, you ask, how could the market be so wrong? That's the ego speaking. It hates being wrong. It hates admitting weakness. And it definitely hates sitting in uncertainty. So, it takes control, quietly, efficiently. It turns every trade into a reflection of your intelligence, every outcome into a measurement of your value, every red day into a threat. And that's when trading becomes emotionally unbearable. Because now, every moment at the screen is high stakes. You're not just navigating charts, you're navigating identity trauma. You refresh your stats obsessively. You rewatch old wins to soothe yourself. You check your account balance 10 times a day. You avoid the trades that don't feel like instant validation. You're not managing a business. You're nursing your ego.
But here's the thing no one tells you. Your ego will destroy your edge. Because edges aren't emotional. Edges don't need validation. Edges only survive through process. And process can't breathe in the presence of ego. When your identity is fused to your trades, you lose the ability to adapt, to detach, to see clearly. You become reactive. defensive, fragile. A single red candle wrecks your mindset. A losing week ruins your weekend. A sideways market makes you question your whole life. And worst of all, you start avoiding truth. You avoid reviewing your bad trades. You avoid metrics that show your weaknesses. You avoid mentors, accountability, data. Because truth hurts. And the ego doesn't want to hurt. It wants to feel in control. But control is an illusion, and the tighter you grip it, the more it slips away. So here's the hard reality. If you don't separate your identity from your trades, you will not make it. Because no amount of skill can save a mind ruled by fear of being wrong. Winning won't fix this. In fact, it will make it worse. Big wins inflate the ego. They make you feel untouchable, special, chosen. And then the market hits back, hard, and suddenly the fall is steeper, the shame is sharper, the confusion is unbearable. Because you weren't just losing money, you were losing yourself. But here's the truth that can save you. You are not your trades. Your wins don't make you worthy. Your losses don't make you broken. Your identity has nothing to do with your P&L. Trading is a skill, a craft, a game of probability, not a mirror for your self-esteem. The sooner you separate the two, the sooner you'll find peace in the process. It starts with humility. Admit that the market is bigger than you. Admit that being wrong is normal. Admit that your job isn't to be right, it's to execute with discipline regardless of outcome. Then, take action. Journal your red days with more detail than your green ones. Build systems that protect you from yourself. Set rules and follow them, especially when you feel emotional. Talk openly about your struggles, not to complain, but to stay honest. Because honesty starves the ego. And that's the only way to reclaim your edge. The traders who survive, the ones who thrive, don't win because they're always right. They win because they've made peace with being wrong. They win because they've learned to act without attachment. They win because their identity doesn't need to be validated by a chart. And you can be one of them. But first, you must fire the part of you that's still trying to prove something. That part of you must go, because that part is trading for the wrong reasons. Let it go. You're not here to be a genius. You're here to become a master of process. If you've made it this far, you already know. This game isn't about finding the perfect setup. It's about unlearning the lie. The lie that says, you can outsmart the market with just talent, hustle, and a few YouTube strategies. The truth is, trading success doesn't come from more tools or more signals. It comes from radical honesty, from dropping the ego, from understanding that you're not here to be right. You're here to execute with discipline, under pressure, over time. 95% of traders never make it because they build their journey on a false foundation. The belief that it gets easier, that certainty is possible, that the market owes them something. But now you see the game for what it really is. The market doesn't reward potential. It rewards emotional control. And your edge? It starts the moment you stop needing to be perfect. So, here's your next step. Forget being right. Focus on being consistent. Forget quick profits. Focus on process. Forget what social media is showing you. Focus on your journal, your mindset, and your execution. Because that's what the 5% do. If this video gave you a reality check, hit that like button. It helps this message reach real traders who need it. Drop a comment below and tell me where you are in your journey. What's been your hardest truth so far? And don't forget to subscribe for more raw, unfiltered trading psychology breakdowns. Not the hype, but the stuff that actually keeps traders in the game. Because your edge doesn't start on the chart, it starts in your head.